Hi, my name is Mrs. Schramm, and I'm going to read Chapter 11, The Keys to Success. I stared down at the keys, and they were big, shiny white keys, and in between some of them were thinner, shiny black keys. I wondered how long Daniel and his grandfather would be gone. On one paw, it was cold outside, and they might hurry back. On the other paw, it might be the only chance I'd have to be alone with a piano, without Lulu around, and I didn't have far to go. So without hesitation, I jiggled the lock that doesn't lock and slid down onto the keys. Clank, click, clunk, clunkety, clink, clank. When I tumbled down on the keys, the notes sounded even worse than when Daniel was playing. I stopped to get my breath before I looked down at the keys I was standing on. I remembered that Daniel was playing the keys in the middle of the piano, so I carefully made my way there, note by note. Bing, bang, bing. I settled on the middle key and pushed it. Tinkle. That didn't sound quite right. I pushed the next key with my paw, but that didn't sound right either. Jangle. I stretched my paw up one more key and pressed it. Jingle. That was it. That was the note where Daniel had begun. At least he got that part right. I scurried up to the key to begin, and I hit that key 3 times. Jingle bells. Then I pressed it 3 times again. Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle bells. Next came the tricky part. I had to stretch my paws up, skip the next key, and push the one next to that. Then I quickly turned and stretched my other paws the other way and pressed the note 2 keys down from the starting point. So far, so good. I pressed the next key up and then pressed the key I started with. Jingle all the way, I squeaked. I'd hit the right notes, but it sounded wrong. The music was too jerky. Then I remembered that Grandpa Popwell had said, practice makes perfect. So I played that part again and again. The more I practiced, the more it sounded like the way Miss Lark played it. Of course, she played with 2 hands, but I wasn't ready to tackle that yet. I do have 4 paws to work with, but I can still only stretch so far. It was a great, great, great feeling. In fact, I was having so much fun I lost track of time. So I was surprised to hear the door open and footsteps. Daniel, Grandpa, and Lulu bounded through the door. The dog started barking at me right away. I was so shocked I fell back on the keys with a clink, clink, plunk. Daniel shouted, "Humphrey's out of his cage!" Grandpa Popwell dragged Lulu off to the den and slammed the door. "How did he get out?" the old man asked. Daniel had his hands cupped around me so that I wouldn't fall. "I don't know. I checked to make sure the cage was locked." "Well, put him back in," Grandpa said. "I hate to think what would happen if Lulu got near him." I hate to think about it even more than Grandpa. I imagine if she got near me, she'd use those sharp teeth in a highly unfriendly way. Daniel relaxed his hands a bit. "Maybe Humphrey wants to play the piano," he said with a laugh. "See what he does," Grandpa said. "But keep your hands there so he won't fall. It's a long way down." "I'll be careful," I squeaked, which made Daniel and his grandfather chuckle. I was sorry, sorry, sorry to be caught out of my cage. But at least I had the chance to show Daniel what a little practice can do. I made sure I started on the right key and played what I had learned so far. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. The notes played. Daniel gasped. "How did he do that? He played jingle bells." "It sounded like jingle bells, but I'm sure it was just a fluke," his grandfather said. "What's a fluke?" Daniel asked. "Like an accident, something that happened by chance," Grandpa Popwell replied. He thought it was an accident that the hamster could play the first part of Jingle Bells perfectly. What about practice makes perfect? To prove that it was no fluke, I played the notes again, taking great care to make sure I hit the right keys. "Wow, that really was Jingle Bells," Daniel said. "Humphrey can play the piano." Grandpa looked down at me, shaking his head. I guess so, but nobody would believe it if we told them. In fact, maybe we should just keep quiet about it so folks don't think we're crazy." But he definitely played Jingle Bells. "Play it again, Humphrey," Daniel said. So I played it again without any mistakes. Grandpa, we should make a show with Humphrey in it, Daniel said. We could be rich if we had a piano-playing hamster. And Humphrey would be a star. Grandpa shook his head. I don't know, he said. That would be a lot of work for a little hamster. Humphrey might not like working so hard. Daniel was disappointed, but I have to admit my paws were feeling quite sore. Thank goodness Grandpa told Daniel he'd better put me back in the cage for a rest. My nice soft bedding felt especially good after scrambling down around those hard piano keys. As I settled in, Daniel said, "If a hamster can play Jingle Bells, then I can too." Those words were music to my ears. It was exactly what I was hoping. Daniel sat right down and practiced playing Jingle Bells. The music sounded shaky in the beginning, and he hit a lot of wrong notes, but the more he played, the better the music sounded. After a while, Grandpa said, "Good job!" Daniel played the song a few more times, and Grandpa said, "That sounds great!" Finally, he said, "Daniel, that was perfect." Practice makes perfect. I guess it works after all. Well, that night, I rested quietly in my cage in Daniel's room. Lulu was in the den with the door closed, according to Grandpa. But I kept one eye open all night, just in case. The next day, Daniel practiced again with my cage on the piano. He played so well I could finally see the prancing horses and a sleigh gliding gracefully through the snow. Late that afternoon, Daniel's mom came home. "Mom, Humphrey played Jingle Bells on the piano," he said. His mom laughed. "Humphrey, the little hamster, that's a good joke." "Well, he did," Daniel said. "Didn't he, Grandpa?" Grandpa chuckled. "Well, yes, he really did." Daniel opened my cage and took me out. "I'll show you." He set me on the keys. I stopped and thought for a second. On one paw, I was proud to show off what I'd accomplished to help Daniel. On the other paw, I know Daniel would tell everyone at school what had happened, and he'd said I might become famous as the world's first piano-playing hamster. I might even end up on TV, which would be great, great, great. But wait, if I became a famous TV star, I wouldn't live in room 26 anymore. I'd miss my friends and my job as a classroom hamster. So I made up my mind. I scurried up the keys and then back down again. Bing, bang, clink, clunk, bang, bang, bing. Daniel's mom laughed. "That doesn't sound like Jingle Bells to me." "Play it, Humphrey, please," Daniel begged me. I hated to disappoint Daniel, but I also wanted to stay in room 26, so I scampered up and down the keys. Again. Clink, clink, bong, bang, clunk. "I should have known better than to leave you two together, making up stories like that," Daniel's mom said. "What I want to hear is Daniel playing Jingle Bells," and he did. The third time he played, his grandpa and mom sang along. I squeaked right with them. Later that night, while Daniel was sleeping, I heard Lulu whining outside his bedroom door. I almost felt sorry for her. After all, she might have sharp little teeth, but I doubt that a dog could ever play the piano. Poor Lulu. When I got back to room 26 on Monday morning, I had good news for all. "Daniel practiced Jingle Bells, Og, and he's lots, lots, lots better now," I said. Of course, no one else would find out if he was better until Miss Lark arrived. As usual, when my friends came into room 26, there was a lot of talking and commotion as coats and hats were hung up and students headed for their desks. "Stop talking," Sophie was telling Phoebe and Kelsey all about the tree her family put up over the weekend. Small Paul was showing Tall Paul a drawing of his plans to expand his train layout. And over in the corner, Thomas, Harry, and Simon were gathered around just Joey. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but suddenly Joey let out a loud horse whinny. "Wee!" "Let me try," Thomas said. "Wee and woo." I'm sorry to say that while Joey's whinny sounded like a real horse, Thomas's sounded more like a sick cow. "My turn," Simon shouted. He tried to whinny too. "Wagga, wagga, wagga." Didn't sound like a horse, more like a large dog. "My turn," Harry said. Unfortunately, his whinny sounded like a cat left out on the porch. "Wow, wow, 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 wow." "Goodness, what's going on over here with you boys?" Miss Brisbane asked as she headed to the corner. "We're whinnying like horses," Simon said. Miss Brisbane laughed. "Your horses sound as if they're in pain." "Not Joey's," Thomas said. "He sounds just like a horse. Show her," he nudged Joey. Whinny! Joey whinnied. He sounded just like a horse. That's terrific, Miss Brisbane said. Can you do it again? Whinny! Joey repeated. You do sound like a horse, Mrs. Brisbane said. My dad taught me to do it, Joey said. Mrs. Brisbane seemed excited. I have an idea. I'm going to tell Miss Lark about this. The bell rang and Mrs. Brisbane took attendance. I was unspeakably excited about what I had heard and seen. Og, did you hear it? Did you see what happened? I asked my neighbor. Boing, 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 he answered. Og didn't sound anything like a horse, but he did sound like a very excited frog. Humphrey's Winter Wanderings. If Og ever played the piano, would the music make everyone happy?